Good morning, Marco.
Good morning.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being with us. We've got Marco Bertolazzi, did I say it correct?
Yes.
Okay. Who's from the R&D department at SanLucar with us
Exactly.
today.
Exactly.
So, thank you for joining us on our podcast. It was a short notice arrangement, thanks to Peter Alderman. And over to you. Please tell us who you are and what brought you to us.
I appreciate this invitation. For me, it is very interesting to participate in this podcast. For me, it's the first time. It's not the first time that I've been interviewed or I am in front of a camera. So anyhow, it was a long time ago, by the way, during COVID era, in which we made a presentation of new varieties in that moment.
Now, when it was all virtual.
Yeah, indeed.
So and you can't taste the thing then.
Yeah,
you can only see it.
Exactly. So I am the R&D director for a multinational company owned SanLucar. But before, let's say, explaining what is SanLucar, what we are doing, why we are here, I think maybe it's better to discuss a little bit, to explain to your audience what brought me here.
Yes, please do.
Please
do. I think it may be very interesting also if you have students, if students are listening, because I think it's a very nice story. I mean, so when I finished I think what you call college.
Or university.
University. Before the university, how do you call it? In
school, high school.
High school.
Yes.
In our system, we have 3 years of first degree and then 2 years of second degree. That it is called the Bologna system, I thought. And not all the European countries have it. So I decided I worked 1 year because I was not sure what to do. And actually, I think it was the gardener that brought me close to the agricultural sector. I mean, I was used to collect pears, to do a picker during the picking time every summer to have some money. So I was already familiar with agriculture, and also I grew up in a small village surrounded by Lambrusco vineyards, for those who know the wine, and pears. So I knew agriculture, but I'm not coming from an agricultural family. We don't own any land. So the mix of the gardener experience and probably the pear picking years, because literally I think for many years I picked pear, brought me to the decision of starting agriculture, which by the way was something quite unknown in terms of academics for me. I have a scientific, I was doing I was in a scientific high school. In Italy, you can choose already from the high school.
Oh, that's nice.
If you want to be more technical, more professional, but then, I was not aware of agricultural universities, etc. And that brought me to Bologna. And then life is curious because I was quite close-minded, not really able to speak English. And then one day, a colleague of mine, I think, a student, told me that there was a scholarship to participate in an international, let's say, degree, which is initiatives that I'm not aware if now there are still something like that. It was an international degree shared among different universities, led by the University of Bologna, with the possibility to make 1 semester in Bologna, 1 semester in Munich, and 1 semester in Vienna. And that literally, that experience, because I participated, changed my entire life. I learned English, I learned how to present. So all the soft skills that I strengthened and developed in that period, and also the connection of people that I was able to create still worth now, because for example, if I want to have an information about Sri Lanka, I do have people that I met in that period, Philippines, Costa Rica, a lot of Europeans. Still, one of my best friends is a Greek guy that last year invited me to his marriage, and I met him in Vienna. So that was a very nice experience. And at the end of that experience, it was during the second degree that I did this, let's say, program. There was another opportunity. And honestly, I really started to be passionate about.
What was this degree about? Was it also agriculture that you
Yeah,
went
the
to do?
degree, yeah, it was, as I said, the system is 3 years, which is a sort of general, let's say, studies about a topic. In that case was, I can translate like technical agriculture.
Okay.
And then the specialization was an international program more directed towards academic agricultural studies, like something more directed to students that afterwards were, let's say, more keen or let's say on students that wanted maybe to continue as a PhD or researchers.
Yes.
That was something I was planning, but then I realized I was passionate, as I said, about agriculture. But then life brought me back to Italy because I had some family issues. My grandmother was not fine, and I had also a girlfriend. So I went back, and I also started to realize that the new varieties, the new variety sector, new variety development was something that I really liked. And it was something that was not really taught, were not really real teachings at that moment, I don't know now, about how to develop new varieties. Even in my course, I have to say that breeding, meaning to improve traits in varieties, was something that was touched from outside, let's say. I know there are courses in many universities. I think it was just by chance that in that international program it was mainly focused on other matters. By the way, the program was called International Master in Horticultural Sciences. I say that because maybe someone that joined the course that year or in the following year, so in previous years.
Is that course still going? Is it still a course at the moment?
As far as I know, the course was linked to European funds, and it was very, very interesting for extra Europeans to apply, because it was literally everything was paid. The tuition fees were paid, and even money were given monthly to support life in expensive Europe. Bologna is not a cheap city, and
so you got paid to study, or your studies were paid and you got pocket money.
Exactly.
Nice.
And international students, they also had certain money to travel back.
Okay, traveling costs.
Traveling cost. Maybe if you are from the Philippines,
Yes.
and you have to go back for whichever reason, there was a possibility to do that. So it was, I think now it has changed, and now universities are more focused on allowing the double degree system, but based on other, let's say, on other programs, more flexible one, not linked to such a strong European funds. Yeah, so maybe you can make a semester in another university and you get the double degree. In my case, theoretically, I say theoretically because I've never really checked. I have documents. My degree is valid in Austria and also in Germany.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you
Very
developed a
interesting.
passion. You went
Yeah.
and you traveled around,
Yeah,
and they say travel broadens the mind. So you got to see different places, meet different people,
exactly.
learn about different types of agriculture,
Yeah.
and then you were inspired and passionate about
What
agriculture.
what about the plant? Where were you exposed to the plant breeding side that got you interested in that?
Yeah, that was is a real good, a very nice question, because I really believe it was a sort of I don't know whether it is the law of attraction or a law of vibration. These are concepts that now are really on fashion. But I think it was something similar, because I started to get passionate about, and my thesis, it was also about measuring the marketing impact using QR codes. I developed a strategy to measure that
Okay.
on a new apple variety, supposedly scab resistant. And by the way, the apple variety really existed. And I tried to partner with a company that afterwards hired me. Afterwards, I mean, after 5 years.
Yeah.
Then the company didn't have really time to support me in the thesis. Then I said, okay, I will remove the name of this apple. I will call it apple, I don't know Y or X. I invented the name, and I made the study aimed at verifying whether people whether the people would have been influenced during the promotion by the factor scab resistancy, meaning that the variety is less impactful on the environment, because scab resistant variety in humid environments like northern Italy, which we have in certain area even 1,000 millimeters of rainfall per year, depending on the area, but not less, I would say, than 500. In certain humid environment, you have even to spray 20 times against scab.
Scab, okay.
And scab is a pest for.
Is Venturia inequalis. It is a pest, that's the Latin name, but you can spray 3-4 times against other strains, because Venturia is a big, let's say, family, which means that you have 3 treatments against 20. And it is not just the chemical impact, it's also the CO2 reduction, because you don't use actually the tractor, and also money.
Yes.
This is a very nice example of sustainability. The issue was that at that time, an example of making, let's say, agriculture more sustainable. At that time, scab varieties were not really good to eat at that moment. I'm talking about already more than 10 years ago. Now you have scab resistant varieties that are also good. So for me, it was by doing that thesis, I also discovered in those days that the University of Bologna has the so-called technology transfer office, and that, I think, was the point that really introduced me into this world, because probably also here in your university has the same. The technology transfer office are concept, as far as I know, developed in the US years ago, and they are offices that should make available to the public discoveries, inventions done by the university. And since there are conflict of interest, I mean, the professors should not sell their own inventions. The technology transfer office or knowledge transfer office, depends on the country, should do that. And in that moment, there was a line of sweet cherries called the so-called sweet series, developed in that moment. They were crosses between typical varieties from Italy, from Modena area, maybe you know balsamic vinegar,
Yes.
Lambrusco,
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari, and many other things. In the mountains of Modena, close to from Modena to the hills and beginning of Apennine chains, there is a quite significant cherry area, and the capital of that cherry area is called Vignola. So the University of Bologna is quite close to that area, was partnering with, let's say, foundations there and other companies to create a new cherry line, breeding Italian varieties with American varieties that are bigger, crunchier, and the Italian ones were sweeter, etc. And then I started to work on this genetic line, and I was lucky because the University of Bologna could really leverage on huge resources. And also we say in Italian, is a translation of an Italian say that the university is like the parsley. You put in a lot of recipes.
Okay.
And the University of Bologna does have a lot of contacts in the world, and I couldn't imagine how many contacts, and also the brand of the University of Bologna, how strong it is. Even if sometimes maybe I was realizing that, you know, public institutions, they are kind of limited because sometimes the public institution cannot act as private company.
It's not a commercial entity. It's different.
It's different. So
Yes.
things
It's
are
slow to decide. It's
things are slow. The decision-making
So,
process.
so you were busy with the cherry breeding. That's interesting.
Yeah, I started. I was supposed to be like a breeder, but also a variety manager. But after, I would say, 6 months, we decided that I should just focus on promotions. And I started to promote the varieties to New Zealander people, to Australian, to South African, to Chilean. I started to speak Spanish, to learn Spanish, because
Chile is big in cherries.
it's very big in cherries, and also the agricultural sector is full of Spanish-speaking people.
Yes.
I went to the US, I went to many countries, and I started to participate also to the typical trade shows like Fruit Logistica, Fruit Attraction. And that was the real, from that moment I started to build, let's say, a name also in the sector. And the University of Bologna taught me some licensing concepts.
Okay.
Because they were leveraging the how you say, the law department,
Yeah. The legal
the
department.
legal department,
Yes.
and the University of Law actually.
Okay.
So students, well, PhD students from the law university were working 1 day per week in our office supporting on different matters. So there was a part of intellectual property protection and a part of intellectual property development. I was in the development, but of course I had to understand and know how to protect the plant breeder rights, the fact that
The whole legal framework is very important, and
Yeah.
to have that kind of support must have been incredibly helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
And how old were you when all of this happened?
That was, I started when I was 25, yeah. And I remember the first day I came into the office, the responsible, by the way, we're still there, Andrea. I greet him if he's listening. I don't think so, but who knows.
We never know.
He brought on the table the UPOV convention. I didn't even know that there is such a convention. Maybe you know it's UPOV is a French acronym I don't remember exactly, I think is like translated a union for the protection of plant variety.
Okay. Makes sense.
And it is based in Geneva, and the aim is to harmonize at international level the laws related to plant variety. And if you read, for example, the European regulation, I don't want to say it matches. I'm not a lawyer, but it is very similar to the UPOV Convention, and many countries really incorporated the main concept. No?
Well, it kind of makes sense if you've got a general standard that you work for.
Yeah.
That somebody in the US, somebody in South Africa, somebody can understand.
Exactly. Indeed, this is the idea. The idea is to harmonize and make people speaking English. Okay. If we speak English, we can talk. The same, if we apply the same rules, we can talk.
Yes.
Except the US, in which you still have a plant patent. You have multiple ways to protect varieties. So all this legal framework and also the licensing strategy, that was something that still now, sometimes I propose legal models which impact the business model that are kind of, I don't want to say unknown, but unexplored. For example, the fact that you have different preferential rights, right of option, exclusive negotiation, first right of refusal. Now I'm going to go into technical fields, but it's just an example to say that you have an evaluation period and then you can exert one of these preferential rights to trigger a commercial phase. These three rights are different. They have different impacts. And it was amazing how the University of Bologna was dominating all this stuff. And then I jumped to SanLucar quite immediately because it is curious how then my career continued, and it was always the same story, because after 4 years and a half more or less in the university, unfortunately we wanted to create, let's say, a sort of spin-off to develop plant varieties, but it's not so easy to create such a thing in a public institution. And one company we had a project with, they proposed me to a job, and actually I accepted because it's a Consorzio Italiano Vivaisti called CAV. We were partnering with one of the shareholders of this company with the cherries, and we had a contract with the company with the pears. And I decided to work also because this company was working more with apples and with strawberries. And strawberries, I thought, wow, this is something.
It's completely different things.
It's completely different things.
You would say they would go apples and pears and.
Yeah.
But then apples and strawberries is like two completely different plants.
Completely different. Like if you think, at the university, I was working mainly with cherries, pears, a little bit of apples, one Japanese plum, I think, yeah. These were the main crops. But strawberry, and by the way, they are planted, these crops, except Japanese plum, sometimes in similar areas. You can find apples and cherry, one beside
they need
the
the
other.
same conditions, basically.
And the strawberry on the other side, for me was something very interesting because I like the fruit, and it is the most close fruit to a vegetable in terms of cultivation techniques. It is an annual crop. Every year you have to substitute the plants. It is still propagated, vegetatively.
Yes.
Even if seed companies are trying to develop, say, have already developed seed propagated strawberry varieties. That's a revolution. But yeah, they are not yet popular. I mean,
I've heard an interesting fact, and I'm pretty sure you will help me right. They said that the strawberry seed, those little pips that sit on the outside, can only germinate once it's passed through an animal or human's gut.
I am not sure about that. I'm honest. Yeah.
But interesting. And strawberries, the clue is in the name. They grow in the straw.
Yeah.
They are like on the ground or in the, you know, it's so completely different to a tree fruit, like all the other things that you are doing. So tell us, how did you end up with SanLucar?
Yeah, and then it was.
And who is, so just give us a
Yes.
brief background of who SanLucar is.
Yes.
And that is really it was the strawberry, because after having worked with the strawberry for some years, and actually it was, like in Bologna. I did 4 years and a half in Bologna and 4 years and a half in this company. I made, we were working with SanLucar already because we were developing low chill varieties.
Of what?
The same varieties that you are planting here, in the same type of varieties that you plant in Stellenbosch, in this area, by the way.
Strawberries.
In strawberries.
Okay.
Indeed, I also tried to develop Italian varieties here. Maybe some of them are even planted. Then I moved to SanLucar, I don't know. But we visited various growers, Limberlost, and
Limberlost, yes.
Zettler. Okay. So my company made an agreement with SanLucar. Actually, I did it to grant exclusive rights to manage a strawberry variety in Greece, in the Peloponnese, especially, in which there is a quite big growing area, like more than 2,000 hectares only there in the Peloponnese.
Of strawberries?
Of strawberries.
Wow.
And Greece is quite strategical for labor cost, precocity, etc.
Sorry to interrupt you, but strawberries is not something that we've really...
No, we've not been involved with or ventured into...
We've been on strawberry farms,
yes,
we've
but it's
seen
something
it and
that we
filmed
would
it.
like to explore
Well, that's
further.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strawberry are indeed very interesting because can be literally grown everywhere in the world. You have day neutral varieties. So the flowering doesn't depend on the photoperiod. Then in the day neutral, you have more high chill and low chill varieties. So the low chill you can plant in very warm areas. And then you have high chill varieties, long day, planted in Northern Europe. And then you have low chill varieties adapted for Mediterranean and warm environment. So playing with the type of plants, because then you have also bare-rooted plants and potted plants of various sizes, like small pot until big pots. You really can plan the production cycle, and I would say they're very technical. It is a very technical crop. One of the most technical crop, but berries are in general technical. Also raspberries and blackberries are quite interesting. So when I did this agreement, we finalized the agreement, we executed, the project started. The ex-legal the legal department director of SanLucar, and that in that moment was also leading for ad interim, we say, for temporarily the R&D department. She called me and she said, look, Marco, there is an opportunity at SanLucar because I'm moving. I'm going to...
Now, what language is she speaking to you at this point? She's speaking Spanish or English or...
At that moment, she was speaking Spanish.
Okay. And you understand enough to take a phone call in Spanish at that time? Even?
At that time, Spanish was already quite well managed.
Okay.
And then she said, look, if you're interested, I will say as a looker that you can be interested. And then I said, why not to talk of course.
But nothing to lose.
And
It's
then-
nice when someone proposes you. You're not applying for a job; they propose you. It's quite nice.
Exactly.
Yes.
You have the bargaining power.
Yes.
And by the way, then I ended up speaking directly with the owner of the company, and we started to have quite a long negotiation because it was also the COVID period. And by the way, I like Italy. I had a very nice life, so I was not really looking for emigrating or changing things. But honestly, the proposal of SanLucar was strong. I mean, in terms of vision, in terms of not just money, because money for me is not the most important thing. It's just, for the first time, I felt that I was aligned with the proposal. I mean, I understood SanLucar, I already knew the company, and then I really liked the idea of SanLucar to make a revolution in the fruit and vegetable sector by creating a premium brand, which is SanLucar,
Yes.
in which the consumer finds all products, all type of fruit and vegetables. So just to make you an example, if you buy Pink Lady, Pink Lady is a very nice apple. It's a brand associated to various clones of Crips Pink.
Yes.
Pink.
If you buy Zespri, you have certain varieties of kiwi,
Correct.
but Pink Lady is pinkish apple. Zespri is kiwis. Chiquita is bananas, and maybe something else. I saw Chiquita on other products as well. I was, wow.
Surprised. Yes. 'Cause
Surprised.
you think of the bananas when you think
Yeah.
of Chiquita.
And then you have other examples. I can continue naming trademarks and brands. But then SanLucar is very simple and strong positioning is we are premium on all products. And it is also very challenging to realize, to achieve this, let's say, vision. And then I spoke with the owner. I understood he is totally different than all the other employers I worked for. And then I said, okay, why not? Spain is similar to Italy, very similar culture, similar people. I speak Spanish. Let's see. And after the COVID, when almost the COVID was done, it was not yet declared ended, the pandemics, but they were opening, etc. We traveled for a double, bachelor party.
Okay. Yes.
Because two people got married, but very close friend of mine, and we decided to go to Valencia, in which there is the headquarters of SanLucar. After a very intense weekend.
Was this before you said yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
After a very intense weekend, I remained one day. I said to my friend, we're saying, okay, let's go to the airport. We have to go at, I don't know. At that time, I said, no, I will stay. Say, what are you saying? Yes, I have an interview. I didn't say to the people.
Okay.
And then the day after I had an interview, I was very tired, but I was lucky.
You must have done a good job because
wanted to ask.
after a bachelor weekend, you go for an interview. You must
Yes.
have been at the top of your game.
Yeah, the paradox was,
Or they really wanted you.
it was very funny because I stayed one day more. I said, one day I recover, and then I will take the interview. Actually, I felt very bad because I think all the weekend, all the tiredness and all the came up that day. But the owner of the company was also tired because he came from, I think, an Italian trip in which there was, in the south, there was it was a cherry season, so there was a cherry fest. So I can imagine he also had some party. So we had a nice conversation. And then I decided, okay, I jump on the boat. I like the vision, I like the company. And I think I did a very nice choice because I really enjoy what I'm doing. The company is very big, so there are many departments and it is another animal under brackets. I cannot even compare with the previous companies. I came from a quite politicized world because university, it was political in a certain way to take decision, and there were literally a lot of rules and a lot of regulations to comply with. But also the second company, CAV, was composed by a board of directors of 3 strong shareholders. So there was a lot of politics also in the board of directors meetings. SanLucar is a very strange situation because we have all the multinational, I would say, typical factors like we have a lot of systems, we have rules, we have, if you want something, you have to send a ticket.
Yes.
But at the same time, you speak with the owner, and if the owner says, let's go, we go. Which is what makes SanLucar still a startup in a certain way. Even if it's so big, you have to consider that SanLucar will reach 1 billion of turnover.
Wow.
4,000 employees in the world, if you consider also the workers on the field.
Yes.
And it took me time to discover SanLucar because you speak with SanLucar Germany, subsidiary company, the second biggest after the one in Valencia. And then you discover what they do. Then you speak with SanLucar Emirates. They are just 2 guys, but you discover what they're doing. In a nutshell, for the sake of brevity, also to make the audience understand what is SanLucar, I think SanLucar is a very big system that really wants to achieve this vision. And I say system because we really have an internal supply chain, which makes SanLucar, I think, unique. SanLucar started like a company that was selling mostly fruit under the SanLucar concept. But then to put value into the SanLucar brand, SanLucar started to acquire exclusivities on certain varieties. But varieties is just a piece of the equation. Then you have producing in the right areas. Then you have quality control. Then you have selecting the right fruit providers. At the beginning, for the most important species, what we call master growers were selected, which are still master growers. So, for example, Giuliano family is an Italian table grape company, one of the biggest, maybe the biggest, I think, in Europe, or if not the biggest, one of the biggest, is a master grower for table grapes. Usar is a Valencian family from Valencian community, very strong with mandarins and oranges. Then we have Moroccan partner, Capagro, very strong for blueberries. We have more than
from Morocco.
From Morocco.
Okay.
More than 400 hectares just with this guy.
Sure.
Licensed through SanLucar that has like a master licensing. And then
So these varieties that these master growers grow, are they varieties where you've got the exclusive license for, or is it varieties that SanLucar has developed?
Well, it's a mix, depends on the case. SanLucar is not a breeder. This is very important to mention. We work with the best breeding, the best variety is the variety that belongs to all breeders. I mean, I'm saying that
open variety.
No, what I'm saying is that today that specific breeder is the best. Tomorrow, I don't know.
Yes.
It's like with clothes.
Yes.
Maybe unless you are really passionate about Armani, maybe you
There
like
are trends.
there are trends. I mean, and we need the technology also changes. Sometimes certain breeders are on the better hand in a given moment, but there is another one with disruptive variety or maybe with new genetics, and we need to be open. Okay, this is why we are testing varieties. We work with literally all breeders in the world. I think I always show a slide when I make presentation that, I mean, the logo of the breeders cannot even fit anymore because there is all the breeders in the world.
Okay.
So to answer your question, is a mix of the two. We have exclusive varieties. Certain times we help the breeder to fine-tune the last part of the breeding process.
Okay.
So we select with the breeder the last advanced genotypes, the advanced selections, and we say, look, this is what fits for us. And I think this is the best model, by the way, and it is the most sustainable. Maybe we can talk about this later, because I think is one of the last points I would like to discuss. But to finish with SanLucar, we have farms now as well. So we started like traders with a strong brand. And then we said, okay, let's have a variety. And then, okay, let's also put ourselves on the grower shoulders. How you say in English? One of the two, yeah. We need to be grower because, first of all, this will build us credibility, but also will guarantee us certain strategic production.
Yes.
Okay, we do have the master grower, but and they are still very important. They will remain very, very important. But when you have your own production, you have a certainty of what you are doing.
Yeah, you can set the standard. So you can say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you can grow something to a standard, and then you can bring your master growers and says, this is what you must do.
Also, master growers, yes, they are quite good. They do have their own R&D trials, but we have more flexibility in terms of R&D. For example, I cannot do what I want with a third party. In my farms, I can try to make also something out of the box.
Yes.
So this is also something very important to, and the farms are located everywhere because now we have farms in Spain a lot. We recently bought 1,000 hectares farm. Wow. That's huge. In between Madrid and Zaragoza, in Cariñena, a place in the inland of Spain. Quite high chill. We are exploring various crops there. Can be for high chill blueberries, maybe cherries, maybe some stone fruit, maybe some late ripening table grapes. Okay. Then we have farms in other places in Spain, also a partnership in Portugal. We have a farm in Peru. In Ecuador, we have 2-3 farms, maybe even a banana farm. And in South Africa, we have about 400 hectares with 3 different companies producing citrus, table grapes, and blueberries. And we are exploring now also maybe strawberries and other crops. And now we have also subsidiary companies everywhere. We recently hired a Chinese guy to develop the Chinese market. And this idea of SanLucar now is getting more and more international. Our goal, let's say, our dream is to have the point of sales. SanLucar point of sales is a corner within the supermarket, fully branded by SanLucar, and also SanLucar has the right to use Walt Disney characters.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Okay. So there is SanLucar and Walt Disney characters with all the branded product within the corner of the fruit and vegetable products in a supermarket. So you go to a supermarket, for example, you go to Edeka in Germany. In the fruit and vegetable sector, you have the SanLucar corner, and we call it point of sales. Sometimes it's not possible to implement this concept with all the retailers because certain retailers say don't like this strategy.
They want generic things.
They want private labels.
Yeah.
Sometimes we also sell to private labels because private labels, if it is premium private label, we can work on that and we can deliver premium fruit for that private label.
What you just mentioned, I was actually going to bring that up about SanLucar doing the branded SanLucar part of the fresh produce sector in the supermarkets, because that's what I remember about SanLucar.
Yeah.
What has always differentiated it started like that. I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago. I remember actually seeing that in supermarkets. That is something that other people have not really tried to do. But the point of sale branded SanLucar, having your own little kiosk really within the supermarkets, that is very cool.
So it's very similar to what Clemengold, for instance, is doing with the citrus space in Woolworths.
Yes,
in South Africa.
but this is all the types of fruit.
Exactly.
It's like a corner which has stocked with everything at that point. And also your branding is always amazing. The photographs and the adverts, it's always this sort of very sunny, warm, like harvesting, like happy on the farm kind of vibe. And I think for people, particularly in cold climates, that's very appealing to see that kind of branding of the grower, and it's always very realistic. The grower there and the people there, and it's warm, and here's the lovely fruit. I always think about somebody sitting in a cold back office somewhere in Northern Europe or in England. When you see that, it's very appealing.
Yes.
Short of actually being able to go on holiday to the sun, you can have this produce that has come from the sun, and that branding that SanLucar has had in the supermarkets for many, many years of trying to do exactly what you were saying. They have done that to some extent. But now if it's expanding and the Disney characters are coming to, well, good luck with that. It's very exciting.
Yeah. I think you touched a very nice point because it is exactly that the message that we want to convey. So
what does SanLucar mean? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to say.
Okay,
so
okay.
You're not really interrupting me. I mean, SanLucar is the name of a small village, SanLucar de Barrameda, if I pronounce it well,
we wouldn't know.
Yeah, which is a small village close to Sevilla. I say Sevilla because Sevilla is the most known city. It's more close to Huelva. Huelva is the capital of the strawberry production in Spain. It's a town of 150,000 inhabitants, so to give you an idea, quite close to the Portugal border. And there are almost 6,000 hectares of strawberries.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
A lot.
And probably the name, I'm not sure, but the name derives from
the town.
sunny place in which strawberries are planted.
Wow.
And strawberry is a key product for SanLucar. So
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I've seen.
We don't
I've
know
seen
these things.
SanLucar with grapes and with citrus.
Yes.
I've not seen it with
But
strawberries.
the strawberries, you see, they can't travel that far, so they
Yeah,
obviously
right.
all get consumed in Europe. I mean, you're not exporting them to other continents, not easily.
yeah.
Okay, we need to ask the question: what brings you to South Africa? Why
Yeah.
are you here now?
Yeah, indeed. I was trying to arrive at this point, but yeah, then
Please keep going.
we lost ourselves in. No, it's true. It's good to jump from one point to another. The fact is that SanLucar now is trying to connect the internal dots. I mean, we are different departments, and we have all the resources to make amazing projects. I give you an example. I am at the beginning of the chain because I'm bringing novelties, but sometimes I don't know if these novelties will even have a market. For example, if you want a red flesh blueberry, it exists in nature. But you have also already example like the carrots. You have carrots of any color. Why don't you see a lot of purple colors, purple colored carrots, and you have purple outside and yellow inside, and you have a lot of combination. Why don't you see a lot of them? So when I use this example is to say that disruptive things exist, but then can you really implement? The implementation is a mix of the necessity of the market and also the feasibility, agronomically speaking. So we, as SanLucar, we have the production department, because we have our own farms. We have the product department, which is the department that should purchase the product from our farms, from the master growers, from other loyal growers, not yet master growers, but close, and from whichever growers that should purchase the fruit to meet the needs of the commercial teams that are divided by country, and in the certain mature countries like Germany, they are even divided by retail chain. So you have the Edeka team, the Kaufland team, the Aldi team, because it's so evolved. And since we have 4,000 point of sales just in Northern Europe, I'm not sure if they are all in Germany or in Northern Europe, but Germany is the main area. So you understand the complexity. In Italy, for example, we have a team of 4 or 5 people, because in Italy is quite a new market. So each market is at a different stage, but in terms of SanLucar concept development. But each market generates a demand. If you're talking about blueberries, is the sum of each country makes a demand.
The demand from that country.
That is also changing according to the period. So the product manager shall try to meet this demand. And the product manager speaking with me sometimes drives also innovations. And why I'm in South Africa? We believe that we can connect the dots, as I said before. For example, in the Emirates and in Southeast Asia, there is an increasing possibility to sell strawberries. And South Africa is a good candidate producing country. Then here are the challenges. Which varieties should we produce ourselves, or should we license to someone? If we license, which varieties? So I'm here to scout, let's say, varieties and to understand the sector.
So you are here to come and see what is being grown.
Yeah, what is being grown,
and where there is a possible gap where you guys could fit in.
To understand the sector, to understand the
You're
nurseries,
doing research to see.
understand the players, to understand if we can find a nice partner, to understand if we can plant, because I said we have 400 hectares and we have also available lands. Strawberries are quite technical. Should we plant in our farms? Can we do that? Because the soil is good, the water quality is good. If not, should we go out of soil? Is that feasible? So this is one of the reasons I'm here, because then we have kiwi, to understand the kiwi industry. I know South Africa has potential and there are certain projects.
It's a fast growing commodity in South Africa.
SanLucar is not strong at all. Kiwi is one of the crop that we are not strong, but
we saw beautiful kiwis 2 weeks ago.
Yes, but it's interesting from quite a kiwis weren't really going very far. And in the last 10 years, kiwis have gone from not very big in South Africa to growing very fast because of our production window. The window in which we produce is undersupplied in the North European markets. So that's why it's really grown. And the golden kiwis and the red kiwis.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting. So you are in South Africa to check out, to observe and see and do a bit of research to see what can be done.
In particularly strawberries.
Strawberry. I'm looking for. Also, we are into certain stone fruit projects, peaches and nectarines, and these are quite more advanced. So in this case, it's more check how this project are moving forward with partners in South Africa, from which we already buy fruit. So it's strengthening the relationship and checking which varieties we need, because we are selling the very same fruit of this variety in Europe. So those are some examples of what we can do, because the fact that one company can say, look, I want to sell strawberry in Singapore, example. And in Singapore, they want this type of strawberries in this period, and say, okay, look, SanLucar, I scan the SanLucar system, and they say, wow, South Africa is maybe in the right place. And in South Africa, maybe I can do this, I can do this project with this company for this purpose in a certain way. And then I come to probably the last point I want to stress is the compromise, and it's not compromise, it's the commitment, Commitment. I'm mixing languages.
You're doing incredibly well. Our Italian is non-existent, so you're doing very well.
Sometimes I mix languages. In Spanish is compromiso.
Okay.
The commitment.
Just hold. You better just see who this is. Sorry.
Yeah, the commitment of that we have in terms of.
Okay, so I think our time is our time an issue?
Yeah.
It's Peter. He says you're going to be late.
Yeah.
Oh, it's your people that are waiting for you.
Okay, the commitment that we have in terms of sustainability is a growing concept. We should define what sustainability means, and we can stay here. We can make another episode just on that. But sustainability should be, in a nutshell, economic, first of all, because if the sustainability is not economical, we cannot really make any project sustainable for the company, for the grower. But also we should try to be more respectful of the environment. And now Europe especially is really measuring us on that. I cannot tell you more about this because it's something quite new, but we need to really report how and describe how we are more sustainable in each of our projects. And R&D is a very important, let's say, department involved in sustainability. So sustainability is environmental, social also, because we are involved in many initiatives. We have a school, for example, here in our farms for South Africans. We have humanitarian initiatives and also economic sustainability, as I said, because at the end we are doing business. And an example of this is that we changed the mindset of certain growers, and we really reintroduced cover crops between in the orchards. So there was a tendency to remove all the cover crops, but then now it's clear that the soil is like the gut for the. If you have to make a parallelism, soil is like the gut, the intestine, and we need to take care of it. And we were able, I want to measure that, I don't know, but to increase the surfaces, to plant hectares of cover crops in our managed orchard in certain territories. And this is just an example of what we are also doing and we are committed to.
Wow. Unfortunately, our time has run out.
Yes, our time
So let's just do that last question.
We have a random question from someone else
Yeah.
for you, just like a
And they
random
don't know
one.
they don't know who it was for.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you've answered this quite extensively. What makes you excited about what you do?
Yeah. I think the excitement is about the fact that, first of all, we have always something new, some new challenges to address. And we always have, let's say, new, let's say, resources and new varieties and new, let's say, factors to take into account to address that specific challenge. And this implies a lot of creativity, speaking with people of different cultures. So certain people can get frustrated because they may think, wow, this is it's very difficult. Every time there is something difficult to address, but it's always how you see, how you look at the situation.
Something can be either a problem or a challenge.
Exactly.
A challenge you take on, a problem is to be.
Exactly. So I think this is the most interesting part, to live, let's say, the challenges in a positive way, and to always be proactive and happy that we are doing something that we are passionate about. And then, yeah, that's the point.
Marco, thank you so much for joining us. We know you've got to run off and go and see growers and other people, but we really, really appreciate it, and it was incredibly interesting.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We will